Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Dick Dale with another movie review, and today we have the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop, the landmark, the marvelous, the stupendous, the king of dialogue, the amazing, Royale with cheese, Quentin Tarantino's very own Pulp Fiction. Man, what a ride. So Pulp Fiction is a movie directed by Quentin Tarantino. It was released in 1994 and it's a gangster flick, but not in the traditional sense. Whereas movies in the past such as Scarface, Goodfellas, and Godfather would focus on the rise and fall of certain individuals, Pulp Fiction is much different than that. I wouldn't say it necessarily has a plot, but there's definitely a storyline. So the thing about Pulp Fiction that confuses most first-time viewers is its non-linear storyline. This means that none of the segments are in order. So it's divided into 3 separate stories, each having their own related characters and related themes. It doesn't take place in like a certain timeline, I'd say. For example, you'd have Scarface. That would take place at the beginning of Tony's mob life until the end. Here, it's more like in the middle. It's just certain random events that are correlated and related to each other. So, what drives the film? I wouldn't say it's necessarily the plot because there's not really a story or something you're looking forward to. What drives the film is the dialogue. You ask any reviewer, you ask anyone, any person who's seen the movie, any critic, any just person who doesn't like film, who likes film, a homeless guy on the street that's watched Pulp Fiction, everyone will say the dialogue drives the film. I'm telling you, the dialogue is crispy, man. That is the main thing this has going for the film. It's clever, it's full of wit, it's full of humor. I mean, the dialogue is everything to go for. You go to Pulp Fiction, you don't expect Die Hard. You go to Pulp Fiction, you don't expect The Notebook. You expect Pulp Fiction, the dialogue. And that's one of its greatest achievements. But for me, every reviewer will say the dialogue. So I'm going to focus on something different. To me, what's major is the characters. Man, oh man. The characters are something to really look forward to. Each is different and unique in its own way. A fan favorite is Samuel Jackson's role as Jules Winfield. Okay, so a little background information. When you think of Samuel Jackson, what do you think of? You think of a loud, angry, passionate, really scary at sometimes black guy. But where did that come from? His first role like that was Jules Winfield. I mean, yeah, he was a guy in Jurassic Park. But really, where does his career take shape? That's Jules Winfield. Every person he plays after this movie is basically Jules Winfield. The guy from that shark movie, Jules Winfield. The guy from Kingsman, Jules Winfield. Django Unchained, that's Jules Winfield. Everyone is Jules Winfield. And because Jules Winfield is such a likable character. He's a Bible-thumping, quoting. He's the type of person that you would take orders from. He doesn't take any slack and any smack from anyone. I mean, he's just a cool character in general. And then we got Vincent Vega, portrayed by John Travolta. So, Vincent Vega is that type of suave, cool, smooth-talking individual, suit-wearing that you'd want to be friends with. I mean, he's like really chill. I mean, partly due to drugs, but that's not the main concern. He's super chill, and he's brilliantly played by John Travolta. So around this time, John Travolta's career is in the slumps. Pulp Fiction pretty much revitalized it, giving it new life. Of course, it gave us movies like Battle Earth and Delta Dazeem, but that's besides the point. John Travolta, great performance, wouldn't have it any other way. Some of the best quotes come from him and Samuel Jackson. Their chemistry, man, that is just unbreakable. That's good stuff right there. Now we got female supporting characters that were really good in this film. So, like I said, back to the theme of mob movies. You look back and you think, what are the roles of women in mob movies? Everyone pays attention to the men. Like, no one talks about Karen Hill when you got Henry and Tommy from Goodfellas. Women are pretty much overlooked in these films. They're seen as objects. They don't have that much value. They're often abused, and they don't have the power that their husbands have. This Pulp Fiction, I guess, just destroys that stereotype because you have Mia Wallace. I mean, Mia Wallace is as cool as Vincent Vega and Samuel Jackson on their screen time. She knows what she wants. She is in control. Marcellus Wallace ain't got nothing on her, if you know what I'm saying. Great stuff, great performance by Mia Wallace. Now, Pulp Fiction wouldn't be anything without the supporting characters. The supporting characters is the jam in the donut. It's the jelly in the peanut butter. You know what I mean? It's the chocolate in the chocolate bar. You can't have Pulp Fiction successful without its supporting characters. People like Christopher Walken. I mean, it's Christopher Walken. You know, what are you gonna do? Christopher Walken is great as Captain Coons. You know, an ex-Vietnam soldier with a watch up his butt. You know, that's some great, interesting, amusing storyline. Man, that was a funny segment though. Speaking of funny characters, brilliant performance by Lance as a drug addict, drug dealer. That was some good stuff. Really good supporting role. And then probably the coolest guy, and other than Jules on the film, would probably be the Wolf. I mean, the Wolf, man, he knows how to rock a suit. You know, it's a 10-minute drive. He gets there in 7. You know, it's those little small details, man, that make up the movie. And of course, a lot of people. There's actually Bruce Willis in this movie. Bruce Willis plays Bruce Willis. Feel that sting, big boy? That's prime messing with you. So basically, Bruce Willis acts like Bruce Willis. You know what I mean? I mean, nothing really spectacular, but it was a good performance. And the second story, though it was the weakest out of all of them, gave us some good scenes. So another good thing, positive, other than the characters and the dialogue, is the soundtrack. Now, let me tell you something about Pulp Fiction. The intro is literally one of the greatest. Put pen to paper. I mean, okay, the scene opens up. It's a normal couple eating at a bar, you know? Just chatting, talking away, right? They're in love, right? It's a normal couple. And then they start getting on some edgier topics. Oh, bank robbery. What? Liquor store, man? You don't know what's going on. You're just watching, you're watching the Pulp Fiction happen, right? You're watching the dialogue. And it's interesting, but it's not the bam. But once they start talking about bank robberies, and you start listening, you start getting an idea of what's going on, and then BAM! That's when it happens. They hold up their guns, they rob the joint, freeze frame, and then that intro ticks in with the guitar, and you're hooked for the ride. You are there for the thrill, and for you are down. You are down, and that movie got you hooked right there. So, along with that song by Dick Dale, Miserlou, and along with other songs including Kool and the Gang's Jungle Boogie, and the infamous dance scene in Sequence 1, this movie has an overall great soundtrack. Definitely worth buying, I'd say. Like, I didn't know a lot of the songs in the soundtrack until I actually watched the movie, and I bought some of those, and they're really catchy. Pulp Fiction, I can see why a lot of people don't like the movie. I mean, first of all, it has a lot of graphic content. Yeah, probably graphic content I shouldn't even be watching, including language. I mean, yeah, there are definitely some scenes that are questionable. Like you have Gimp from number 3. Yeah, that was definitely red flag. Definitely out to watch for. I mean, that's kind of messed up, even for like rated R standards. Then you have the heroin injection scene. That's pretty, yeah. And then of course Marvin, poor Marvin, man, his face got shot off. But even though there are all these bad things, no matter, on the bottom line, under all the swearing, under all the cussing, under all the good times, the banter, and the enjoyable moments, Pulp Fiction is deeper than that. It's a much deeper picture. It's really a story about redemption. Each and every single character redeems themselves in their own way. And that's what I think the bottom line is. No matter how entertaining of a movie it is, it's still a major theme is redemption. And so that's why I really love this movie so much. But all the serious stuff aside, it's a sick movie. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, when Marvin's face, yeah, it's a sick movie. Anyway, 10 out of 10 stars. Definitely gotta watch it. If you hate the film, I don't know what to say, man. You know, you can't hate the film. You watch it, you're gonna love it. You don't like movies, you're gonna like movies from Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is my #1 best film of all time. Watch it, buy it. Like, rate, subscribe. Yeah. Magic. See that? What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English in what?
What?
English! Do you speak it?
What?
So you know what I'm saying? Describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like.
What?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you. Say what one more time.
What?